Lots of books. Archives. Cool. A room filled with bookshelves. I remember reading things in this room so someone wouldn't find me. There were lots of technical books I didn't understand. Sealed room. Okay. This shelf, it's all the same thing. Investigative reports. Reports that someone did on various people. There's a name I remember seeing. Krim. The name Krim. I was sure I heard it somewhere, but I couldn't remember where. So I opened these documents. Report on the Krim family. After the arrest of Father Miklut Krim, he changed residence some 10 odd times before settling in his current residence. His eldest son, born a Krim, was 5 at the time of his arrest, and often secluded himself in the house due to harassment and assault from others. He would come to repeatedly be signed into and out of mental hospitals. Eldest daughter, Melnik, has been caught and arrested smuggling lasso tobacco to pay for living expenses. Lasso tobacco is a kind of chewing tobacco, but it is powerful hallucinative drug when orally ingested. Its addictiveness is low and it is considered a luxury in its home country, but in ours, its use is illegal. There is not much to note about the second son, Leduc. After Maklit's release, he had a second daughter, Canary, with his wife, Helene. This ends the report on the Krim family. We believe Maklilt is unlikely to commit another crime, but caution is advised due to Borna's unstable mental state. We ask that some of the above facts be omitted from the published book. Okay. Report 1. A report on the inherited sin. We have published a book calling itself A Document on Criminals and Their Families, which weaves lies with truth. It writes that we should do away with the discrimination against families of criminals to reduce the crime rate to 0. However, people are suspicious of this claim. Yet it is true that the families of criminals receive inhumane treatment which spurs secondary crime. What is crime and what is passed to what? I no longer know. Report 2. A report on Vector the author. In our committee's compilation of the inherited sin, we made a single massive mistake. Namely, we overlooked Vector's own childhood history. Some say that it is even our fault that Vector was subject to such violence. Interest in heinous crimes has been on dramatic annual increase. Ironically enough, he brought this about. And now, Vector cannot escape capital punishment. However, there is value in further continuing the experiment of using mass media to put a check on the crime rate. This must be his hope. Index, a study of the connection between exposure to crime in infancy and latent criminal potential. The crime rate in our country continues on a steady increase. We have suggested many plans to put the brakes on this, but none have shown any effect. Thus, we have made a hypothesis. We suppose that people who are exposed to criminal matters in infancy end up more unstable than those who have not had such exposure. In effect, we suppose the children of criminals may carry the possibility of being criminals themselves. Such children will henceforth be referred to as born of disorder, or BD for short. Given this hypothesis, it is necessary we focus our efforts not on criminals themselves, but the BDs. And with the help of our test subjects, we believe our hypothesis has been proven. Born of disorder. Let's go over here. However, though, I was pretty sure some things are making sense, but I'll see if my personal theory is chalking up here, but I'm only going to share it when we're done. If I end up being wrong, if it ends up being right, then yeah. Now I'm going to guess I can probably go through here now, right? Yep, let's do this. This person, I've seen him somewhere before. I believe, yes, it was on TV. He was the protagonist of a show I liked. Sionos. Sionos beat Sion. This was the TV show Sion starred in. Sion was the world's greatest psychiatrist and a specialist in human memory. So, bad guys would kidnap and threaten Sion, and he'd get into risky situations. I think in this episode he was threatened from outside with a gun. And then Sion brought back the memories of the person on the phone. Since I was little, I always loved this show. I want to be like him someday, I thought as I watched. Actually, Doctor, I haven't asked your name, have I? What is your name, Doctor? Ridiculous. Huh? A TV show? What the hell are you saying? I think this has been enough. You said you wanted to be like Sion, so you would often play the role of Sion mimicking the show. Central News, where Sion had a column. This is really just a faded copy of Sunlight News. There is no word processor. Only a traveling bag on the desk. You sit in a simple wooden chair, opening and closing a briefcase. The shelves have only but a few books. There's a hole in the floor which you covered up with boards. The holes in the wall aren't from gunshots. They are just bruises. And the painting is sooty and worthless. You brought in tables to arrange like Sion's room. The phone is just a toy. Pick up the receiver and you only hear a dead dial tone. Is that enough, Sion? You came into existence to protect her devastated spirit. But it's not that she truly wanted to be you. Now is the time for her to wake up. By now, she should have a heart capable of handling the reality. Sion, how long has it been? 1 year and 3 months. I see, that long. It's not over yet. Remember what happened that night? Don't rely on Sion. Remember it yourself. I'm sure you can do it now. Last scene, palette. Someone was calling for me in a dream. It couldn't have been a voice I heard before, but it felt somehow nostalgic. But I felt like it wasn't a dream, and I woke up. The floor was sticky with blood, and there was a knife on the floor. I remembered something I heard on the radio before I went to bed. It said an escaped murderer was hiding nearby. So then this blood could have been theirs? Even if it wasn't, there could still be a murderer in the house. So I ran down the hallway, with a knife from the floor in hand. There was blood stains in the hallway. There was one on the wall as well. Looking closer, I saw it was a handprint. This could have been the murderer's blood. Perhaps he might be wounded. I prepared myself to enter the room at the end of the hall. There was blood on the knob. The criminal was inside. Strangely, I wasn't afraid. Like the voice I heard in my dream, it felt somehow familiar. There was someone slumped over in the darkness. I could tell they were covered in blood and not breathing. But I felt like I'd seen that face before. It wasn't my imagination. I knew them. So I tried to get a closer look. Yes, that was it, I said. Father? I said, Father. Out of the way. Do you not hear me? Move! Go back to your room. I heard sirens from outside. Someone must have called the police here. I heard from outside. I heard them talking. You were shot while escaping prison? Why did you come here? You came to kill her, did you? Yes. This is the answer I've come to. If crime disconnect from parent to child, I want to sever that connection myself. But you couldn't, could you? Well, it doesn't matter now. Would I need to leave her? No, what we need to leave our daughter. I heard brakes and car doors closing. They came from outside the house. I should have just stayed trembling in my room, staying ignorant to all of this. With the circumstance and memories I was given, I should have lived a normal life, like a normal girl. But she once told me, perhaps the moon can someday be the sun. Perhaps it can become a star. So I opened the door, so I could accept the whole reality. I told you to go back to your room. No, this is wrong. What I wanted, what I really wanted... So the kid's still alive. Well, that's your mess to clean up. The aging man is the man who appeared on the first videotape, I remember that. That's a parent's duty, am I wrong? The plan was reasonably successful. But there was always exceptions, as we now see. You said you could use medicines to take away an infant's memory, granting them a new life. You proposed this plan to cure our world where criminals birth secondary criminals, or where criminals birth secondary criminals. But in the end, it seems BDs will be BDs. Even with the medicine, some can get their memories back. It means the system has room for improvement. What are you trying to pull? I'm your superior. How dare you? Do you know what you're doing? Thrice the annual income. Girl, that was the bounty the police put out for me. And now they've caught up. Well, now what? Are you going to turn me into the police, or... It's obvious. Run, run, and keep on running. Isn't that always the way, Mother? Now, let's go. This is the true beginning. I wrote that memories can be defined biologically as such, only kept around because they may someday be of use. What she needed this time were many memories she didn't want to recall. It's a bit off topic, but have you ever painted a picture? Well, I only had 8 paints, so she struggled. So she struggled to get the color she desired. All along, there were only those 8 on the palette. Red, blue, green, not a single useless color. All of them were necessary. What I mean to say is, well, that's about it, really. Perhaps some other time, I will again be needed. In preparation for then, I'll stow away any memories she unconsciously discards, for she may need them. I do look forward to seeing you all another time. So please, until then, try not to forget me. Sionus be Sion. Do do do. Finisher. That's okay. Well, not this whole game. I was thinking it's either Palette, or Paletti or something like that, but I was right. It's all good, though. I'm gonna let the song play for a second, because it makes me think about those cheesy rock themes that used to finish old horror games, which would make sense, because that came out around that time.